Are we talking about my nipples?
Yes. When are we not?
Everything is secretly in context of the nipples.
Oh, I forgot to
Yeah.
turn off the thing.
Well, the nip filter. Whoops.
The nip thing.
What's up, everybody? Thank you very much for joining us. We are LexaCrunch, the combination of MTG Lexicon and Commander Crunch. We are here for our late night talk show. If you have the pleasure of joining us, it is hopefully balls. Straight balls. Nothing else other than balls.
Straight ball.
But we hopefully look to having a good night with you and getting started. And we're going to go from left to right. We're going to introduce ourselves, and we're going to get into it. So off on the far left, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I am Cheshire Plays Games or Chesh Breaks. How you doing? I am from the land down under, and I am one half of an amazing podcast series by myself and, of course, Samidama Ding Dong, called what's it called? Commander Crunch or some shit? I don't know. I wasn't there today. I was asleep.
Lieutenant Smash or something. I don't know.
Lieutenant Smash. I am the secret unrevealed Pokemon character from Smash.
Deputy Bludgeon. Like, I don't know.
I'm not Snorlax. I'm the poor Snorlax, so I'm Porlax.
Oh, is that just like house brand like laxatives that just don't quite do the job? They leave you in that dangerous in between in between realm of like, yeah. You're not quite
the worst traits of Snorlax. Like,
anyways, before we get deeper into the lax, my name is Brandon, aka the producer, a host at MTG Lexicon. I'm here tonight to hopefully keep these two chuckle fucks in line, because I feel like the conversation is not even going anywhere near where we wanted to go if I was just to leave them by themselves. So that being said, who is over here to my left, your right? I guess that's how it works.
Thanks, Brando. It's almost like these two chuckle fucks should start a podcast together just to get it out of their system.
I feel like it's not enough. I feel like, honestly, there's not enough editing.
That's why we're here. That's why you invite us on a Saturday night to do this. But yeah, no, love to be here, Brandon. I'm Sam, one half of Commander Crunch. And Chesh, that was the loveliest thing I've heard anyone say about me and the podcast for... I'll just say today, I guess, and because
for a couple of hours,
that quota has been reached, and it'll end there because you guys are about to shit on the movie that I suggested, because I thought it'd be a good idea to show some what I thought was, and a lot of people think is Australian culture. Take with it what you will for this movie this week. So we'll get there. A lot of funny stuff, anyway. But if you don't know about Commander Crunch, just so happen to not know, we talk about it a lot around here, but check it out on all your podcasts, apps, things, whatever, and hear us talk to various members of the Commander community and tell stories and kind of share insights and kind of just extend what is the joy and the positivity in what the game means to us, and try and find out what the hell that is, and just find some great stories. So today we had, I was just saying before,
decisions.
Oh, totally. We'll unanimously do that too. That's fine. I think we're on the lexicon stance too, where we're not hoping for anything from the mothership, and we'll say how it is. That's fine. And especially being in Australia, is what it is. But as I was saying, that we had Cowboy Kyle on today from the Mana Squad. Absolutely love that crew. Very much like I said, I spent the whole time saying, it's like, you guys are like kind of lexicon in a way that you're built up of a big kind of network of personalities, and you all offer something different, and they stream that kind of thing. I'm surprised you guys haven't got together to do anything. So we're crossing the streams. We'll get some of the Matter Squad crew on Lexicon, and then vice versa as well.
Hell yeah.
But, you'll love them. Same kind of stuff, like same kind of vibe. Just good people. So yeah, awesome.
I love it. All right, so really quick, the first segment that we always do is Magic News. This is where we kind of cover what's going on, things that you've heard, and we try and stay not political, right? We stay away from that shit. I said try, but
try. Yeah, sometimes things happen.
One of the things that's coming out, or I should say, two things that's coming out, is the Innistrad Midnight Hunt and Innistrad Crimson Vow. Two sets that were recently announced and that you can actually go and pre-order right now, which is crazy.
Cheshire's face is just literally thinking how I can change the box art for the H to be a C. So that's all you're doing.
Midnight Hunt. That being said, though, I mean, we just got a set I feel like a week ago.
Yeah,
can I just interject?
Just reach my mailbox,
And this is not a political thing. I swear.
And I swear.
Congratulations to Wizards and Hasbro for not putting your digital stuff under crunch like many other fucking companies would, and instead delaying the release of your digital only set so that it could be done correctly instead of killing your fucking staff. That is, out of all the bad shit you've done recently, that is a good one.
Yeah, fuck it. No, I hard agree.
Actually, fucking taking the reins and going, you know what?
People matter more than that.
Crunch people because it will kill them. So my hat is off to you for doing the right fucking thing.
Especially in a time when we're hearing about a lot of big studios kind of get to that in a bittersweet moment that a lot of the media we love and and everything comes from.
We don't want to talk about big studios right now. Do we Blizzard Activision?
We don't say names like those here.
I just threw that door at you and you just barged right through it. Exactly.
I just barged right through it. I'm just like, nah, pieces of shit.
Even things like, what was it? Even I remember Rockstar was a big one when Red Dead Redemption released. Everyone's like, yeah, great game. Be like, shit, there's some awful stories. Like, there really was. And
the worst ones is when you hear about like the whys and hows of the Australian studio that did a lot of work on that game and then promptly got fucking fired after it was done.
Yeah, I heard that.
And they just were like, all right, cool, thanks for doing all the work for us. Fuck off.
Yeah.
We know we told you that we'd give you your own game, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to make you crunch on this one. And then because you all complained because we just can, we're just going to shut down the studio. Bye. Yeah. Like, really, exactly. Rockstar? Fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me, I've been seeing things on LinkedIn and stuff lately. There's been a few more voices of kind of note saying things like, "Hey, work culture, don't freaking glorify. Oh, look, I've been working so hard this week. I pretty much do work to 12 every night." It's like that's not something to romanticize. It's
one of the things that I was saying about my job being in the corporate world. Recently here in Australia, there's been a massive crackdown on people not getting paid for work. For those who don't know, there were two companies that I won't talk about because there are legal proceedings against these companies, and I don't want to step in that territory because I know how litigious they are. But these two very specific particular companies that you can look up using the news about workplace fair practices, just saying, we're having people working for up to 6 hours extra every day without pay.
Yeah.
Without pay.
Hey, that sounds like my industry now.
Yeah, and they've been doing it for years, and the government finally stepped in and went, hang on a second, how are you doing all this extra work, and where's all the pay going?
Because of industry expectation often too, and it's cultural expectation too. And they're like, hey, this is just what you do, and it's especially problematic in some industries where they're like, this is what you have to do to make it, and they're happy to burn through as many juniors and graduates as possible to see which ones do make it. I've heard similar things.
Even seniors,
totally. Law, advertising.
I've been with my company for 15 years, and even I was doing crunch work, in my administration role. Which, to be fair, is one of those things that my particular company does not like people doing, but will offer you time in lieu, time off.
Yeah. And it's about following through on that. I've seen so many contracts
for the most part. I want to keep.
We offer this, but it's we're not going to say about it. Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of companies don't do that. They just expect you to work overtime. Work through lunch breaks, all of these unhealthy practices, and then when you're burnt out and you need a therapist, they're not even going to pay for it. They're just too bad. You want to leave? Fuck off. We don't care.
Bottom line, there's more to life.
Yeah,
go for it, Brandon.
Coming back to the developer side of things with computer games, again, the fact that Hasbro/Wizards have recognized that this is a bad thing to do, which is not neuroscience, it's fucking easy to understand, but I'm still going to go hats off because They could have easily just gone, no, we're going to push through and we're going to get it released on this date because that's what we told everyone. They're actually taking the right stance and going, hey, everyone, this thing is not going to be ready by the date we gave you. We are sorry. And we're going to give you some free drafts because of it. Yeah. And we're not going to push our staff into getting it out on the date that we mentioned. We're instead just going to give you some free drafts on new stuff that's coming up to say, hey, sorry. And that's all they need to do. Previous Wizards would have gone, you don't get anything, but we're going to push our staff to like get this shit done.
Yeah. It actually sets a precedent that actually does boost the brand, you know, and the goodwill of the brand too. So it's a profile builder. Anyway, go for it, Brandon. Sorry.
I was going to say, you guys have finally come into the rest of the world when it comes to how tech and business is done. Welcome to California, where it's churn and burn. How fast can you bleed through someone before you turn a profit?
We were here before you guys.
Before you get to Marrow.
I don't know about that.
You guys might not know about it. Look up 2K Games and look up THQ.
So I'm not going to say who, but one of our members of MTG Lexicon works for 2K Games. So it's not a surprise. What I'm telling you is the industry as a whole has been operating like this in California for years, and it's the tech market that drives a lot of it, which is you get an engineer, you give them some good money up front, and you burn them out before you even have to get to the benefits that would have been beneficial to them with the promise of, RSUs or whatever, and they churn and burn. They literally just churn and burn. And it is beneficial to a company because you get a larger amount of work out of the person that doesn't know that that's not right or good, or even a part of the industry that expects that for that to happen. That being said, I work in IT. The expectation is you are on call 24 hours for at least a week, a month, a year, whatever. And that is the expectation. Granted, you're paid for a portion of that, but the expectation is that you're going to do that work regardless. No questions asked. That is a part of the job. And with engineers, it is almost the exact same for like if you're doing coding engineering or something like that. And the whole thing is out here, there's this whole startup mentality and market that that. And the whole thing is literally just churn and burn. You hire an engineer, he does that little piece that you need, and it's, after crunch time, the deliverable comes through and they're like, well, we don't need you anymore. The team's done what it needs to do. Fuck off. Yeah. And then we're going to hire another team to do this next section, right?
It's always that race to the next little milestone, isn't it? And like, what's that startup show that it's showing that it's all about getting someone to basically invest in what you think. Like, you're just trying to almost proof of concept
the other thing too is,
you're racing to it.
Startups have to show what they would make or what their income is. And by getting rid of employees, they can show on record without lying that they would have a much smaller overhead for what they're going to have for their business by quarter or by, year. And what they do is they nuke a bunch of people, they show their numbers, and they hire a bunch of people. And so that process in itself drives this agile that is like insanely like a sheer cliff. I'm not saying that my company does it, but it's something that exists very heavily in tech and in the startup world.
Just to survive, too. Like, it's wild.
But the pay is phenomenal during that time. I mean, most companies, they pay most of their engineers like $150 starting, right? And then it just goes up from there. And that's what the starting market is here in the city. And so, anyone that's got a job that works in the city, they work hard, party harder, and get paid to be shit on for the most part. But that's with fair compensation. I'm not saying that you guys are getting fair compensation, but I'm just saying like that mentality has existed out here like for a long time now. Yeah.
It's been here for just as long. That's the point I was making. Read up on THQ of all things.
Oh.
And you'll see, you've got to remember that I've been in the games world as a media personality for the last 20 years. So I've seen it all.
I'm sorry?
Hi there. I am Albert Kane's investigative journalist and game reviewer for multiple Australian outlets that you've never heard of.
Actually, I want to start a show called Uncle Chesh, where he tells you the worst parts of Australia that you didn't know existed.
That's pretty much Commander Crunch anyway. Exactly.
And he just leads you down like piss alleys, and he gives you the history of how the Queen came down here to take a shit, and then they just left the toilet that it was. And he goes through the history of.
Oh, it's the golden toilet.
That's never been a thing in Australia. Just saying.
Oh no, we'd probably cling wrap the bloody toilet and then
she just never comes $5 admission. She's just like, nah. That's why I send Charles so that him and the wife he killed can come down under.
Well, there you go. See, and I learned more about the show with Uncle Chad.
Murwillumbah comes back.
Murwillumbah. Yep. Diana and Charles came to Murwillumbah in the 80s, and dedicated some plaque at the showgrounds in Murwillumbah.
By the way, after the movie, I did look up a portion of that. By the way,
what's that?
Where they reference that.
Oh yeah. Gold.
Anyways, being said, let's dive into this week's movie.
Do we have to?
Yeah, oh my god! Yeah, on that though, I was going to say Drew was saying too. Grinding Gear Games do a decent job of that too. So the Kiwi crew doing Path of Exile. I was looking up. I've heard great things about them. I think someone a place doing some good things might have a slightly better website. But anyway, that's fine.
It's funny you should mention that because one of their leads, I didn't realize because I started playing Path of Exile and was like, it's kind of Diablo clone. I'm not really sure. Made a post on Twitter, and then one of the design leads that I know apparently that I didn't realize was working on the game messaged me and went, "Hey man, it's a little bit different than that. Let me tell you how." And I was like,
okay.
Oh shit! And
I'll be put in my place.
Yeah. He's like, I get where you're coming from, and just know I'm pretty sure you didn't realize who I am. And I was like, I've known you for 10 years. I didn't even realize that you'd moved to New Zealand to work on the game. So
that's awesome. I love it. I hope they do. It's funny
when you say that because anytime 2K releases a game, I go to this unnamed person and I tell them how shit the game is, and their immediate response is "fuck you." Because they spent hours on the game, and their immediate response is "fuck you, don't talk to me." And then 2 weeks later, he hands out codes.
It's one of the reasons why, I don't mind talking to that specific person. When I say that, I love Borderlands, but. And there's always a but that comes up, and I'm like, but this thing just drives me fucking crazy.
Here's the whole thing around. I actually boycott Epic Games, and they've been selling this whole we give developers more money, and so I asked the guy because he's in bed with 2K because of Quicksilver, and I asked him. I said, with all this changes and why you guys moved, because the whole Borderlands thing was locked behind, the Epic Game Store, and I said, they promised all this money up front and stuff like that. I said, did you get a bonus or a raise out of this? And he was like, well, and I said, did you get a bonus or raise out of this? And he's like, no. And I said, then how can you even advocate for something that is only at face value? I said, Steam is a marketplace that will give you per capita more sales, period, just because of the base, right? Epic Game Store is trying to collapse Steam with this whole, we give higher percentages and whatnot. But here's the thing. Steam provides everything for those developers. Yes, it's a hassle. Yes, it costs more. Yes, it takes a larger percentage. And yes, you have to deal with the shitty fucking part of Steam, which is validation and all that other shit that comes with it. And they're going to take a chunk. But you know what? They've built their marketplace and platform. They have an engine that fucking runs on its own that works. You can invite friends, you can talk to them, you can chat with voice, you can do all these things. You have a marketplace where people can even leave reviews. Epic Game Store wouldn't even let you leave reviews for a game. No. And what they did is they actually review bombed games for Epic on Steam. That's how desperate people got with that platform. And then people are like, oh, look at how toxic Steam is. No, we only had one outlet to go to, and we used it. And when I say we, I mean just people who care in general. I do not like Epic Game Store whatsoever. I refuse to give them a dime of my money or use their client, period. Just period. Because of how their approach with what they're doing, it is not good for any consumer, period.
Just look at their current legal proceedings.
Oh, that's yeah, with Apple, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you read through the transcripts of what's been happening during that, and the fact that they're just fucking wasting money and time, and that they literally do not know what they're doing. They're just wasting the judge's time, they're wasting the court's time, they're wasting money. Like, when you read, like, they're trying to do this because, they wanted, the money from Apple or whatever, kick Apple off their platform, and it's like, you're wasting all of the money, like, trying to force this through, and you are not going to win. And you're just, like, bringing up random shit that doesn't even, like...
Well, they tried to pull Steam into it, and Steam is like, we have no
Steam's just like,
precedence here. Why are you doing this?
Back off, guys.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with us. What are you doing?
And then they tried to get Google involved with the Play Store, and Google said, we have nothing to do with this. This is between you and Apple. Fuck off. Yeah.
Google's just also like, whoa, guys, like, fuck off. We have nothing to do with your quarrel. Like, look, if fuck, this is gonna sound so weird. Here we go. Epic Store, Google, right? If the two of you want to have a fucking lovers quarrel, don't involve other people. Other people don't want to get in the middle of you two having a fight. You know what? Fuck up, make up. That's all you need to do. Get back into bed, just fucking pretend like somebody didn't fart under the covers, and just, like, go down on each other. Because that's all you're doing at this point, is wasting money.
Yeah. And just to be fair, I play a lot of games. I'm a variety gamer. I play a little bit of everything, and I enjoy it. And I like early access for the availability that I get to see things coming down the road. I hate early access because it's unpolished and it's trash. That being said, have found some of my favorite games through early access in that regard, and I mainly do first-person shooters. I do strategy games, twin-stick shooters, and that covers 90% of the spectrum that you can play. But I even play things like Stellaris, right, with a sheer massive cliff of just, a ridiculous amount of data that they throw at you. And then I play things like Call of Duty.
Yeah, the
Tom
Paradox
Clancy,
Wall.
Rainbow Six. I play Counter-Strike, and then I go like, Back 4 Blood has been my favorite thing.
I was about to say, I just saw that on your Twitch thing because I finally followed you, and I was like, that looks sweet. Like,
yeah, it's been a ton of fun. It's literally a carbon copy clone of Left 4 Dead. Do I hate it? No, I put in almost.
That's what it looked like, did it?
I put in almost 600 hours between Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, and I'm gonna play the shit out of Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, I want that modern version, so there it is.
Yeah,
exactly.
and I put almost 200 hours now on Divinity Original Sin. If you're not familiar with that game, it's great.
What a game!
I've put over like 100 hours in Valheim. I'm now putting a ton of hours in Ascent, and I put like almost 300 hours into TFT, Teamfight Tactics. Like I'm all over the place when it comes to games. So it's not like my bias or anything comes from like, oh, well, I didn't get the free game I wanted last week. No, it's literally I put countless hours into a shit ton of games, and this is how I see it. This is how I feel. I pay a lot of attention to how they treat people for the most part, and I hate it. I think it's stupid. I don't like how they run them, but that's how they make money, and I can't do anything to stop them. And all I can do is advocate for the people who are the developers. And when people say like, oh, but they'll give like 35% and better margins for developers, I'll ask some of the developers, have you seen a dime of it? And they say no. Then I say, why are you doing this contract? Right? And they say, well, the people up top get a bunch of money. And I said, well, have you seen a dime of it? No, they said they'd do it next quarter. And next quarter rolls around and I ask them and nothing happens. Right? And they're just pocketing off the top, and it's not going anywhere to the people who really...
Is that a vote? Is that the audio segue for like, let's talk about bogans?
Right.
The fucking motorbike outside.
Anyways, just to sidetrack on that. I'm sorry.
No. Like,
it's a subject that I will talk about hours on because of people that give no cadence to those who put in the work.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I hate that. Okay. All right, I'll shut up.
And reward, and I was going to say too that the point I was going to make before, it's funny we talk about crunch a lot and burnout, whatever, but and we at Commander Crunch don't advocate for crunch in your Commander game or crunch in your Commander experience or crunch in your experience of Magic the Gathering. Take a fucking break, like just chill. Like we do it all the time.
Crunch.
It's the ironic thing.
Fucking breakfast cereal.
Exactly. Mind you, I still haven't had a bowl of Captain Crunch, which I admitted when we ranked breakfast cereals.
Yeah, we did that, yeah.
Yeah, still. So my sister ordered. Apparently, she was like drowsy one night. She's a busy working mum, and she's like, I don't even remember doing this. Ordered all these crazy breakfast cereals from US Foods Down Under, which is a store we've got here, Down Under. And she got all the breakfast cereals you can think of. Pretty much all the things on the list we reviewed that time.
If it doesn't cost $1,000 to ship it to you, I will see if I can make a giant box of breakfast cereals for you guys.
Oh, crazy!
I want to point out just something really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So the former CEO of the Game Developers Association of Australia, I'm not going to call him out, but he's a friend of mine, actually joined as the territory manager of Epic Games. So this was a part of Epic supposedly wanting to work with indies, was that they were getting high profile like management from AGG and all that sort of stuff to make it's so business-like, to make it more attractive for those indies to sign on with Epic Games. And I feel like they even lied to those people coming in. I just wanted to put that out there. Because I know Tony personally, and he's a fucking lovely guy.
Yeah, to make sure you don't say his name, right?
No, don't worry about it. Surname. Not that people can't look him up. But like, I feel like he was lied to go into that position. Like, knowing him personally, knowing what type of person he is, like, he would have gone in there going, like, they've offered this thing, and it's going to be really cool, and it's going to be fantastic. And, like, we're here, like, 4 years on since he went into that position, and it's just like, these balls are really good in my mouth.
I'm sure that's what he likes.
Balls.
All right, let's get on with the movie Balls. Since Sam recommended it, let's have you give us an intro.
Well, exactly. I'll preface why I chose it, and then what? It's not rated R. No, it's not. It's like it's like weird. I just look at his thing. I was like, Rotten Tomatoes reckons it's rated R. What the fuck? Anyway, The Castle is a snapshot at suburban life in Melbourne, Australia, especially in the 90s kind of thing. Which
very much in the 90s.
Chesh was older. I would have been, when it came out, I would have been...
You were older than what you're at now, Chesh?
Yes.
No, older than me. Oh yeah, Cheshireman Button, you know, that kind of thing. I might have been like 8 kind of thing. So it's like, it's definitely, I've still got a lot of residual kind of effect from these kind of cultures and that kind of thing. And so it very much feels like pretty much everyone growing up at that time. It's a snapshot, weirdly enough, of like a little bit of bogan culture. It's more just, it's meant to depict a down-to-earth family, like what they care about. Home is home, that home is your castle, that kind of thing. And then when what happens when a fictional kind of airline wants to compulsorily acquire some land to extend the airport, and wants to take out these houses, i.e. the one with the family in it. And hilarity ensues in a way that I realized, and I was very interested to see whether it's the most localized humor ever, or whether it dates for me a little bit, which that's true. I grew up thinking this movie was the funniest thing ever, maybe because my family kind of made it out to be as well. And it is funny, and I still laugh with it. It's like, it's almost an Australian institution. Chesh will have some things to touch on as well, that there is parts of it. There's parts of it that, to me, like, it's the struggle of the small guy, you know, basically that's the whole thing. It's like, how do you stand up towards a big company and the constitution, all that stuff about, like, when someone tries to steal your house for an airport. And it's trying to say, it's like, you know, it doesn't matter how small your kind of, you know, pocket of land or your existence is, like, you still matter kind of thing, I guess. However, I think Chesh might touch on a little bit too, and there's a part of me that believes this too, that there's parts of my growing up past whatever, especially the way Australian culture is, that sometimes I want to forget. Like it can be a bit of a toxic place. It can be a very rigid point of view on things. It can be a very, and not the way it's a funny thing. This movie doesn't really depict any of that. And that's what the funny, weird annex to this whole thing is about. But it does remind you of, and I'm sure Chesh will go into it, but like, the Commodores doing burnouts on the road and like rigid views of, as we're now finding out, the type of people that might be like, don't get vaccinated, or it's all a hoax, blah blah, and then go to protests and that. We do have an issue in the country with representation and people. Basically white Australians just going, this is our country and this is all we do, this is all that matters, blah blah blah, how dare anyone else? And it's like, what the fuck? Like we should be in one of the most amazing melting pot kind of different cultures kind of countries ever, including most of all appreciating Indigenous culture, which I have to say, even though this is going way off topic because it's got nothing to do with the movie, of course, but it's kind of these thoughts that kind of bring up for what we can define bogan Australia. So there's a bit of a proximity there, I know. At the heart of it, though, this is the movie that my family quotes, I feel like, on a daily basis. Like there's those kind of things. There's literally going to Bonnie Doon as a place that we can go driving and you just go, yep, on the way to the snow, you go to Bonnie Doon. That's just what you do. And you go past that pub and everything. But yeah, there's a nice spot in my heart for it, but at the same time, there's parts of it that remind me of a kind of culture I'm not the most fond of, kind of thing. And I was also, most importantly, like interested to see how it translates to, someone, of course, in the Bay Area going, oh, what, I have no context of this apart from going to Melbourne yourself once, like what this feels like. And if any of it at all was funny, or like, it's like, fuck, that was actually just really, really boring, because it is a quaint story when it comes down to it. And if that comedy doesn't hold, I'm aware that it might just come across as really boring. So there we go. Chesh, Brandon, what do you reckon?
Look, I want to get Brandon's take before I want to go into this, because I think I'm probably the one who's going to rant the most.
Oh, love it.
Okay, then I will say this just for a little context, because little Sammy here doesn't know. I grew up at the poverty line, and I had pretty much close to this experience growing up, except for my dad was a president of a motorcycle club. So I had people coming in and out of my house on a daily basis from the club. So just... Hey,
Brandon.
Yo.
How old are you?
I am 32.
We're the same age.
So that being said, I get the whole principle behind this movie. And it in itself is not a reflection of what I would say of American, suburbia, because I grew up in suburbia where the houses were cheap. I think we bought our house for $120,000 and we fixed it up. I learned how to tear every wall out, tape, texture, mud, do electrical, fill the walls, put R19 in everything, do the house all the way from the ground up with being able to see from one end of the house to the other. And we put up plastic sheeting in the bathroom so you couldn't see us take a shit. Like that. That is how I grew up. So for this, it's I get it, right? Here's the things that I didn't like. The narration. I'll start with that. Dad liked it because it was serendipitous. I think that's quite serendipitous. I think he also liked the word. I quite like the word. And then it's like, and then it goes to him like, and he says he loves it. And I love it. And literally,
yeah.
And I was just sitting there like,
he called the dog son of Coco, exactly.
And I was just like, at the very first time they did it, I thought, that's kind of funny. They're making fun of themselves with it. And then as it carried on, I'm like, this is less funny. Oh my God. By the end of the movie, I was just like, can you shut the fuck up or say it? Like, pick one. Don't extend this 1 hour movie longer than it had to be.
I think that's a quality of like that definitely comes through in like the Australian identity of like the self-depreciation of just giving yourself a bit of shit, like you're dumber than you actually are, kind of thing. And I guess one of the manifestations of that, I honestly find is my brother. Like people think he's probably turned it up a bit too much over the years, but like people think he's a dumbass mechanic, but he's not. He's a very smart person. He's studying MBA, and he's a trainer across the world for a certain earth moving company. But it's like he can put that on that feels like this, and it's like, oh, I'm it's just like he's the ideas man. But basically that's the same deal.
To be honest, the American parody is the trailer park people. Mm-hmm. I hate to categorize it, but I mean we have the same exact people, so it's not like we don't get it, right? Here's the other thing I very much disliked about the movie. 15 minutes before we ever got to the baseline of the fucking plot. Okay, had to get that out of there. Okay.
Yeah.
And additionally,
had to set the stage, right?
the continuity of the movie lost its identity halfway through. And let me tell you why. When they go to steal the gate, he turns over his shoulder and says his eldest son's name, Wayne. But Wayne is in jail. He turns over his shoulder, tells his eldest son, Wayne, to hook up the truck. That is an impossible thing to happen. Because his eldest son is in jail.
I know.
Okay, wait. I'm not done. I'm not done yet. Earlier in the movie, he receives a gift from his eldest son that's an ashtray. And he says, oh, well, this is great, but I don't smoke. Then we go to the courthouse, and he is smoking.
Yeah.
And the whole scene is of him smoking.
Exactly. I've always picked out that one.
There's a lot of continuity issues with this whole movie in that.
I wonder how many are intentional, like, because they're so blatant it's not fun. Yeah, the smoky one's hilarious. Oh, the one, I guess me, Chesh, they're in Coolaroo. Is that actually in a suburb? Anyway, it's basically next to Tullamarine Airport, where the airport is. I think Coolaroo is made up, maybe. I think it is.
I think it's made up.
That house literally sold a few years ago, which is very funny, and it's like that's such an Australian thing. Oh, I'm going to buy the castle house. Same with the Bonnie Doon house, that sold too. But it's next to the airport, Tullamarine, north.
We're going to Bonnie. Fuck off.
We're going to Bonnie, northwest of the city. They go down to Toorak to pick up the gates. That's a while. They're not dragging the gates across the freeway. But anyway,
no.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so there's that. So I already have issues with that. Also. A lot is lost because they try and make it about the legal side, but then they don't depict anything of Australia's legality in any sense.
No, they're just talking about the Constitution.
And I actually took the time to look up a couple things that they referenced, and it had no viability in the movie, so I don't know why it was referenced in the first place. And then two, the mentality of what they had and what they did didn't match the claim of what they were going for, I think, in that. And I get the whole principle, a house is not a home if you're not a fucking goose or whatever it was. And I've met people who literally like, oh, I'm going to do this extension. Oh, I'm waiting on a good deal. And then they have all these things that are strapped together with popsicle sticks and spit and a little bit of cum. And just that was their life, but they loved it, right? And they would fight tooth and nail for it. But in the beginning of this movie, they gave up too easily. And I felt like if that was the case for someone in reality, they wouldn't have. And the way that they went about it with, like, the guy coming to threaten them, I was like, oh, yeah, that's very, 60s mobster. I like it. And it's like, it's kind of funny. And then, they go into the next scene where that stops. And I was just sitting here thinking and just like, that wouldn't stop. They would just continue until you're dead. Like, why do ample threats if you're not going to follow through with them? You know what I mean? And so there's a little bit lost there too. And the dialogue was not great. The interactions between the characters was poorly scripted. So far, the only thing I liked out of that movie was when they were in the courtroom, and the only time that I let out a loud laugh, and one that I might turn into a GIF, was where he writes on the paper, because he wants to mock the other lawyers, and hands it to him, and it just says, fucking brilliant. The The best part of that movie was right there. Everything else in comparison, and I said this before we started the stream, I love Danger 5 to start with. It's an Australian-made show. It's absolute trash. There's nothing else to it. I would rather watch that 3 times over and be bored of it than watch The Castle ever again. And just so you know, culturally, it didn't teach me anything about Australia that I didn't already know. I didn't care to know, I guess, is a nice way to put it. And I hated it. That's it.
At the very least, it'd be fun. I thought it'd be fun to talk about, and it's unearthed something else that I didn't even expect, but I'm kind of glad.
Here's the other thing. I thought to myself, Sam highly recommended this. If he saw this when he was like 2.5 years old, before he beat his first nut, you know what brought him to this? And it was the childish humor that ensued between the dad and mainly most of the kids, right?
Yeah, and there's a fondness of growing up, but at the same time, there's parts
and then
of that I'm now like steer away from.
If I was 2-year-old Sam and I rewatched this movie, would I be able to say that it's held up over time? And then I thought, no, fuck no. This is not something that carries forward in the future. And it is a movie that I think if I saw it when I was a kid, I would have given it a higher rating. And I will give it credit to that because there was that, I don't want to say slapstick, but there was that childish humor that kind of had me going, that could be funny. And I say could be because I'm an older child now, not as younger child as I used to be, and it just did not resonate.
It's very dad jokey in a way too.
And I respect the movie for that in what it was, but respect does not equal good.
Shit no.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I'm glad you showed it to me because it's a movie that's dear to you, which is great. If I showed you a movie that I absolutely love that I saw 3,000 times over, it is absolute trash. But every time it tickles me because I saw it when I was younger and I couldn't stop laughing at the movie.
Man!
And I'll even put an IMDb link to it if I can find it. It's called Kung Fu Rascals. I still remember the songs from that fucking bullshit too.
I remember watching Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison with Kate for the first time, and like she never went through that whole thing growing up with them, and it's like she's like, oh, it's not that funny. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like it's true. And actually, I like watching it now. I'm like, yeah, it's a different thing for me as well. Yeah. All right, Kung Fu Rascals.
Yeah. So this is a movie that I absolutely fucking love. It's so shitty. It's so stupid. And this is actually, I referred to this movie last week when I told you about the whole torture scene with one of the guys, and they were pulling out all these like torture equipment, and then the guy finally pulls out a wig and puts it on the guy, and the guy like explodes, right? But this is absolute garbage. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone, like ever. But it's something that I would love for you guys to see, just as like something that I watched, growing up. But I mean, this is trash. This is grade A trash. But I would watch this movie 30 times over. I actually have, but I mean, I think I would still.
It's got Les Claypool in it from Claypool, Lennon, Delirium. The
sheriff of Chinua County.
Is he from Sublime? Is that the Primus? Sorry, no, Primus. Yeah, he was Primus, like lead singer of Primus. Interesting.
Anyways, if you have, I'll tell you what. I'm even gonna look forward to see if I can put it on the server because I think you guys should watch this trash and never say a word about it, even if you finish it. Anyways, Chesh, it's all yours.
Roger Ebert called this film comedy brilliance, and it's no wonder because he's fucking dead. This movie, believe it or not, actually came out about 96, 97.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't guess that from watching this film because the comedy, well, I'm going to tell you a little story in a second, but the comedy isn't there. It tries and it hits a couple of little good goals, but the rest of them,
as Brandon said, recycles one particular jab quite a few times.
Just drops. It just drops. It's just like big swing and massive miss. Roger Ebert has no fucking idea when it comes to comedy. Let's be honest. If you've ever watched any of or read any of Roger Ebert's reviews on comedies, dead wrong. Like you have to have, and no offense, Sam, because this is going to come into play in a second. and I don't want you to get offended in any particular way. This has the comedy stylings of a poor man's Monty Python.
No, I get that. I get that.
Then it stretches that comedy far beyond where it should be. Just like every time I'm on MTG Lexicon and I say, "Oh, I'm Australian," because I realize that I'm being a piece of shit, and I realize it's not funny, and I know it annoys the shit out of Brandon, which is hilarious, and that's why I keep doing it, right? Because I know I'm being an annoying piece of shit. This movie doesn't realize it's being an annoying piece of shit when it constantly wants to do the same comedy jab over and over. Now, the thing that people might not realize is, although this was brought out close to the fucking millennium, if you can believe it.
Hard to believe. Hard to believe.
How? You can tell that this film, and Sam, you'll know this if you look at the dinner scene, specifically with the pepper grinder that's on the table, the wooden one.
Yeah.
This very much feels like it's supposed to be set in the 80s, right?
Yes, totally.
Australian 80s was different to American 80s, right? American 80s, people were big business doing cocaine off dead hookers and sushi.
They were alive when they started the line.
Yeah, but they were dead by the time that the line was finished.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm making. Just like everything was about cocaine and excess, where in Australia, we weren't like that. This particular family in particular, despite the fact that they are building their dream home, the socio-economical side of this family would not have had that big dish. Now, this is like the most eccentric family in this neighborhood. They have a fucking pool room. How? I grew up with people like this. I did. And I can tell you they were too poor to have a fucking pool room. They were too poor to build onto their houses like these people have done.
Well, wait. They had a fake chimney. It was a fake chimney.
They did have a fake chimney.
And they ran a business.
In Melbourne, a fake chimney, like, you wouldn't have a fake chimney in Melbourne because it's so fucking cold here during winter. I'm just saying.
You get a real one.
I grew up with people who were driving their Commodores and their Hoonin and their Tiranas and sounded like this, right? Australians don't sound like this anymore. I think everyone has realized. If there's one thing that people have realized by even listening to myself and Sam, is that you cannot get from us like an overly Australian accent because it doesn't exist. Now, it still does exist in farms. This is the interesting part.
I was going to say other places across the country for sure.
Correct. But they're more remote. Considering this family is from Melbourne, there is no way in fucking hell that this family would talk like that. Now, if they were from Wollongbar like myself, you would get that. You'd absolutely get like, yeah, fucking Shazza, mate. She's like, took out my Tirana, then she fucking, she drove it into a pole.
You're
just
scaring me,
not like fully smashed it into the pole, mate, but she just fucking like scraped the side panel. So like on the weekend, I'm gonna have to take the fucking panel off and spack it, mate. I'm gonna have to like, try and beat that shit back out and like fix that fucking dent. You know what I'm saying? Because that is the people I grew up with. Absolutely. I grew up in one of the poor neighborhoods, not unlike Brandon, in housing commission, and these people, they were like that. They were fucking poor and dumb. And look, it's not a slight on them. Like, they were dumb because of socio-economical issues at the time. Some of them chose to be dumb, let's be honest. But the majority of them just basically had poor social structures mixed in with like, slight Americanisms mixed in with, hanging out with like bad people and just crims, people who would just like steal cars, like, because it's a fucking poor neighborhood. And that's generally speaking, if you look at this movie, those people, like, this is just cultural comedy and I fucking hate it. This is the kind of cultural shitty comedy that we get from, dickheads like Crocodile Dundee. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the very latest Mr. Dundee and you'll fucking understand how much of a dickhead he is. He doesn't even sound like that anymore. He puts that voice on. He's not actually sounded like that since the 80s when he was on Australian TV with a fucking mullet.
And shrimp on the barbie.
helped to build, get this, the fucking Harbour Bridge. One of our Australian cultural icons. Right? Like, before he was a comedian, before he became funny, because, again, shitty Australian cultural comedy, he was just a workman, you know? And he did grow up with those people as well. The people who were like, you know, what I'm saying, like, fucking, you know, jumped in the Toronto and we got myself some buds and had a really good smoke up with the lads. And I think on Saturday or Sunday we grabbed like a couple of fucking cartons of VB, mate, which is like
get some tinnies.
Drunk. Yeah, just get some tinnies into us, mate. Like, you know,
we'll punch some darts.
and this movie is just, it tries its best to be funny. And you really see Eric Bana like trying to be funny in this. And it's one of the points where we were shocked when he became the Hulk, because we were like,
he's just like con.
Great, he's this great comedy character, right? But his comedy is shit. When he plays something like Chopper Reed, he's extremely funny, right? Because he's actually just like a caricature. He's accentuating on the character itself, bringing those funny bits to the surface, like just absurd but funny. But when he's doing something like this, where it's a comedy role, it's fucking horrible.
It feels forced.
Did you know?
Yeah.
Did you know? I was actually shocked when I first saw the first Star Trek, the new Star Trek, whatever you want to call Kelvin line or whatever the fuck they're calling it. The reason being is because he makes one of the best and most convincing alien villains I think I've ever seen in Star Trek. And you can't tell it's him. You don't know it's him.
Well,
if you know his facial structure, you will be able to tell it's him.
To his credit, he did Black Hawk Down, which he did a phenomenal role in that too.
I forgot about that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And it just shows, like, he's not a great comedy actor. He's not. And this was before he was even big, but he was one of the draw cards for this. And it's just like, because Australia's own very funny Eric Bana, I'll just tell you that many years before this, many years before this, we had a comedy group called the Doug Anthony All-Stars. And if you have not seen them, go and watch them. And try to ignore We Fuck Dogs. It's a great song. It's not what you think it is. But definitely go and have a look at Doug Anthony All-Stars and Das Capital, because it is what I would class as that kind of insane comedy, where it's like comedy for the sake of comedy to the 10, and just so much funnier than this piece of shit.
Oh, I forgot that he did Munich. Munich is fucking phenomenal too.
Oh, I didn't even remember that one either. Yeah.
Time Traveler's Wife. I mean, none of these are the movies that I would consider his best stuff aren't even comedies at all.
No,
hell no.
Because he's not great at comedy. He's really not. Like,
but it's where he started in Australia.
It's like saying that Crocodile Dundee, whatever the fuck his name is like, what's his name again? I can never remember. Paul Hogan. It's like saying Paul Hogan is great at comedy.
No, he was just being Australian. That was just made a persona.
Yeah.
Like
he was just being Australian,
like ramping that up,
and that was Australia at the time. Like, just ramped up slightly, not even like too much. Just playing on that like whole, g'day mate, how you doing? Or, you know, I come from the outback. You know what I'm saying? Because Australia was the fucking outback.
It's the lowest common denominator, like easy quotable stuff. And it's interesting that's where kind of I find a lot of this movies come down to, and I'm actually really glad we talked about it, because it's kind of changing up context, and it's good to re-review things, because you grow up almost like putting things on a pedestal, like, it's this sacred text in a way, and it's like, no, new context, like, like what, like the interesting one there, Chesh, do you remember Margaret and David, the film reviewers?
Yes.
On ABC. I used to watch them.
Why I'm green.
Oh, no. I go wacky. Are you a Joker, baby? Yeah, maybe.
Apparently.
But Margaret and David, I always appreciated their views on things, but also the fact that they could so heavily disagree on things, and it was awesome. Like, that was great. And I just checked out there. I never saw that they did a bit of a review follow-up, over the years or whatever. And David gave it 1 star. Margaret gave it like 4.5. And it's like those kind of like dichotomies. Is like I love that, and I think it's really cool because I definitely have changed my context based on what we've kind of reinvestigated. And I even knew watching it again. I was like, it's kind of not what it was. Maybe I could let a lot of things go as a kid, or just like look at it a lot more naively, kind of thing too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I'll always acknowledge there is a quaintness and a kind of fondness to like growing up at home to it in a way. But then there's that other side of it, of course, and you know the way the film is put together. It was put together in 14 days apparently, but it does ramp down, not as blatantly as the Paul Hogan comedy, but it's trying to do the like Australian thing and then develop this like validating identity. Because that's how, you know, Australians can be self-deprecating, you know, like we're funny and we're kind of dumb larrikins. And it's like, like maybe not, like maybe don't like keep pushing yourself down to that level. You can be more than that, you know, that kind of thing too. Like,
who fucking wrote this and what other credits do they have?
Rob Sitch. He's part
Didn't
of
he direct it?
He directed. Sorry, who wrote it? Yeah, I do not know. I do not know.
Let me see if I can find out because I have a feeling.
So Santo.
Drew.
Whoa!
What?
Look at the second name on there.
What?
That's my last name.
What? Really?
Under writers. What?
Is it Raw? Tom Gleisner. Yeah.
My last name's Gleisner.
I know.
The exact same way.
I never put it 2 and 2 together. So yeah, Tom Gleisner's quite a prominent Australian comedian. He pops up from time to time. So
my
University of Melbourne.
On the Gleisner side, my adopted side, which is where Gleisner comes from, that comes out of Wisconsin, and from Wisconsin from Germany.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see in Australia because that means that they went the other way. Yeah. You can Google me. I don't give a shit. My name's over so much. My name's over so much shit. Like you can just Google MTG Lexicon, and my name's the one that pops up for ownership.
Dude. He also wrote The Dish.
Yeah, I saw
makes
that.
so much fucking sense. Fucking.
You're not a fan of The Dish?
Seriously. No, it's just as much as shit.
It feels exactly the same. If you watch one of these movies, it feels the same. I've never been a massive fan of The Dish, but
here we go. So he co-wrote / co-produced, right? The Hollow Men in 2008. Nobody remembers that movie because it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Utopia in 2014. Never heard of it.
That's actually pretty funny, but like I can't watch too much of it because it's strikingly real of bureaucratic planning committees in Melbourne. Like it sounds
boring. Pacific Heat in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And he is now the host of a popular Australian quiz show, that I've never heard of, called "Have You Been Paying Attention?"
Oh, I hate that show.
He was a judge on the improvised comedy program Thank God You're Here, which is actually funny because they had funny people on it.
They all put that together. So that whole team, they all work on stuff together, like the front line.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like Rob Sitch, Jane Kennedy, Santo Calaro, all those guys were from Walking Dog Productions.
Working Dog, yeah, exactly. Which I've since heard some things about. Maybe they're not the funnest person of people to work with, but that's rumors from people I may know in the industry. Anyway, that's the other thing. I want to change the subject very quickly to something that Drew said in chat, which is really funny. You know what? I love the movie Willow as an 11-year-old child. That movie's pretty bad. Full stop. So, Drew, I will suggest, if you haven't listened to it, lovely lexicon artist of the new kind of Playmat artwork, whatever, Joel Enthrallum, and his episode on Commander Crunch, please check it out. It's a timeless classic. We love Joel so much. Joel says a movie he loves and like looks back at fondly as Willow, and Chich just goes, "Fucking no!" He's like, "I hate that movie," and like, but the way you say it, like it's true that you can speak about Chesh, but like you're like it's irrational, and I don't know why I don't like it. You know what I mean? And it's not for the reasons people may think, whatever, but it's just like you just didn't like the vibe of it and stuff. But I won't talk for you anymore. But Joel loves it. What's this?
This is Rob Sitch, and this explains everything. He was from the D generation.
Yes.
And D generation turned into the Late Show, which both of them were pretty fucking bad. there were two different distinct comedies on Australian TV. Back on, I want to say one of them was Channel 7 and one of them was Channel 9, I think. One of them was D-Gen and one of them was, what was the other one called? Shit. It was D-Generation and then there was the other one. But D-Generation's basically where he's fucking met Hulk Boy. So, you know. Just bad Australian comedy.
Exactly, and a lot of them lead back to the same kind of crew, which is interesting. But anyway, so do you want to wrap it up and stop talking about Australian culture and give it however many VBs out of 10?
I'd give this 2 VBs out of 10. Sorry, I already puked after the second one.
Love it. I will give it a 3 VBs out of 10 because I do appreciate what they were going for at the time that maybe they did it. And so I will give them the credit that they deserve in the fact of when it came out versus now, because I'm only seeing it now.
Do you know why I'm not going to give it the credit that it quote unquote deserves? Because out of a budget of 700,000, they made 10 million. They can all fuck off to hell.
And they made it, like I said, in 14 days or something crazy like that, which is
and nice. that's a really crazy return on a low budget movie. So they can fuck off.
Exactly. They've already got their credit. Fine. I'll give it extra points for my nostalgia of the time, whatever, as much as that is deeply flawed, that kind of thing. And I'm halfway between 5 and 6. Fuck it. You know what? You guys turn me around. I'm going to give it a 5. 5 VBs out of 10. 50%. Yeah. Cool. So, no, like I said, I actually quite appreciated breaking that down. I'm sorry if I ever subject you guys to movies you don't enjoy. That's fine. Part of the fun.
I was going to say, it's also the point of the series, right? So, I mean...
because it started with Neil Breen, right? But then I fucking love Neil Breen. I love Neil Breen.
I take full responsibility for Neil Breen, but the whole point is it was trash that was like good bad, but because of how bad it was funny. Like I
believe in that style,
I can't wait till... Probably, I think it'll be the movie after the one that I pick will most likely be like Samurai Cop or something like that.
Oh yeah, we've been waiting to get to that one. And then I know, Prof kept saying, was it Prof that kept saying one? Anyway, that to tell us to watch as well. But no, we'll keep putting on. But who's next week anyway?
Chesh.
Oh,
Chesh.
It's me?
Back to Chesh. Fuck yeah, another Chesh classic.
What did I say last time? It was weeks
Tank
ago.
Girl.
No,
that was your last movie, was Tank Girl.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, what did I say last time that I wanted to watch to get us all to watch? And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be a really great idea."
But Chesh, I want a banger. Like, sorry, I feel like I've been dragging through the mud a little bit, but I want to absolute smasher.
Oh, there's another. To force everyone to watch the shitty Catwoman movie.
No, I didn't say that. Cats, the musical. The one I'm looking for. The one I'm looking forward to.
No, it was
Darkman. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Darkman.
Because that could only be good, right? It has Liam Neeson, and he's sure not a racist.
No.
No, nor is it sure not absolutely dated.
Oh, Drew's like, die, Darkman, die.
What do we think about Darkman for next episode?
Oh, that's up to you. You got to pick it. Yeah.
All right, I'll pick it and let everyone know tomorrow.
Okay. I was gonna say, Brando and Chesh, that if we want to go for unanimous quality, hopefully, it's because it's sometimes nice to just talk about good movies. From what I hear, we may change our opinions when it comes out, but Green Knight, I think, is out-ish, and that one looks like one of the ones that I'll absolutely freaking adore. And from what I've heard, it's
again, I want to stay away from movies that have been out in the past year, right? It's not something a lot of people have seen. No, that's fair. Although I can most likely get them on availability, or they might already be on the server. I think us not aiming for new is a better way for us to go.
No, that's fair. I know Pig was kind of an exception to that rule, and it was fun. But yeah, exactly. Like it was in that kind of framework. I heartedly agree, and I think The 90s movies kind of things and like early 2000s has been fun too. Like we like to look at also the aspect of how movies have kind of progressed over the years and how they age, which is most not so well, of course, but some just completely fine. Exactly. Yeah, nice. Literally, Darkman 2 is Die, Darkman, Die. Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to go with the sequel because the sequel is even worse.
I feel like I've seen Darkman like multiple times.
I have not. I saw Darkman the last time that I saw Darkman was early 90s, I want to say.
That's what I meant. No, but like growing up, like Sunday afternoon, like it was just on the TV. That's where I remember it from. So it'd be interesting to watch.
Well, I mean, I'm part of the Mandela effect because I watched a version. I'm 100% sure that I watched a version of RoboCop where they showed him getting his limbs blown off with that shotgun, and apparently no one else has seen that version. But then I started researching online, and people were like, "Yeah, I've definitely seen that version."
Wow!
Okay, so I have seen that version for sure.
Yeah, it's full on, right? It's fucking full on, and then they edited it for TV, and apparently the edited for TV version is the version that went out on like DVDs and shit. And I'm like,
wow, the theatrical
I felt
cut,
like I was, I felt like I was full on gaslighted.
So I will tell you that there for sure is one version that is untouched, and it's because everything that came out for this product was not regulated, which is weird to think about, and that is a laser disc.
Oh
yeah.
You can get away with so much more
fucking
on Laserdisc, and that was an actual thing. Like you could get Songs of the South on Laserdisc. You could get the original George Lucas version of Star Wars on Laserdisc, but you couldn't get it on DVD in either theatrical or the remake or the remaster or the gold remaster remake. And a Laserdisc is the only version that had very specific scenes in it, which is so weird because it was a Laserdisc. And I grew up with my uncle who actually still has his Laserdisc and his movies for it. And
I still see Laserdiscs sometimes as little relics in antique stores and stuff.
Yeah,
I love them.
but it's wild
just
because
like dinner plates, like
I don't know where the regulation was behind it, but so much content was on there that was just, it felt uncensored on the Laserdisc compared to anything else that you could get as a common broad media.
That's true.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it was a huge thing here in Australia. That when RoboCop was put on Australian TVs, they actually cut it up quite a bit. So I'm guessing the Australia probably got like some sort of Laserdisc version, and then it went through the censors, and the censors chopped out like massive chunks. There was like a whole drug scene in there as well, apparently, from what I remember, of like actually seeing somebody injecting drugs, and that
we censor fucking everything. Well. It's awful, and still to this day, video games, of course.
We still do, That's it. If a video game,
the Disco Elysium shit,
like,
it has to get through exactly because they still think the games are for kids, but exactly.
Yeah.
That just reminds me of something really funny. I remember. Do you guys ever see the Mummy trailer with Tom Cruise? The one that leaked and actually made it. That it made it to cinemas with no sound. I just posted the link. It's fucking hilarious. So this is quite a few years ago, but like they tried to take it down, but you can't take something down once on the internet. People share it, whatever. But it's excellent. It's like a cut of the trailer for the first time aired at many cinemas with no sound overlay except for some of the directorial cuts. Like so, there's just fucking silence, which is really eerie, and you can watch it. It's so funny. And then it just out of nowhere, like there's like all the windows smashing the plane, and this guy just goes pan, and then just all this other shit happens, and then there's just lots of like Tom Cruise screaming. It's excellent. Like, and it still exists around the place.
It's just like Tom Cruise in any like interview over the last decade.
Yeah, it's like really normal, and then exactly.
I would not have agreed to make this movie if I was Tom Cruise.
Oh, but Tom Cruise is just like probably got pressured into it by his Scientology buddies. Let's be honest.
Yeah, the director's probably a Scientologist.
Yep, that's exactly it.
So about 40 seconds into the trailer I posted, that's where the shit begins, and it's hilarious. It's like half the sounds are cut, and it's just like, yep, that wasn't meant to. I don't know how that happens. Like, how does a trailer just miss a bunch of its audio channels and it just gets pushed to the thing? Did someone not like them or what? Like, a disgruntled employee, editor? Who knows?
I actually remember watching this movie. It was fucking atrocious.
Yeah? I never got to see it, yeah.
I think it's even on the server, actually, to be honest. Let me double check.
What, are you watching it, Chesh?
Yeah, I just got to like.
It is on the server. I fucking knew it. It is on the server. It's bad, like really bad.
The worst part about this trailer is that it's stand-in voiceover. The ADR is all standover as well. Mm-hmm. So with people who might not know, when they do a trailer, there's a couple of different select audio tracks. One of those is so that they can later on, like basically so they can show it to an audience or an executive before it actually makes it anywhere else. Before it even goes any further, they take dailies and stuff like that. Yeah. This is cut from dailies. This has some stand-in voice stuff in it, like inside the plane when they're like hitting the walls and stuff. And
Like,
sounds really weird. Yeah,
and she's
and
like,
yeah, and that's all standard stuff that they put in there so that you get a better gist of what's going on in the scene. And that's so that they can usually go to an executive to say, like, this is where we're up to, like, progress report kind of stuff, or like, this is the one that we have at the moment to screen. It's sometimes you'll see deleted scenes from like Marvel where it's like green screen, or like if you watch Captain America: The First Avenger, there's some stuff that was cut out. With those cutout scenes, they put in what they call a temporary 3D effect, right? Which is like the giant blocky grey tank moving through a space, basically, that is just made up of a fake wall. And it crushes through this fake wall and it starts shooting its fake guns, but it's just like grey, blocky horribleness because that's what they're showing to an executive or to an audience before the audience actually gets to see, a full produced movie, because you don't want to waste time on all of these extra scenes if the audience are just going to sit there going like, all right, well, this particular scene didn't need to be in there and we didn't care about it. You're not getting the same reaction you should. It also assists them in cutting that shit out so they're not spending millions of dollars on visual effects. But this is this is actually no more worse than the fucking movie was anyway.
Yeah, so the funniest part, because these exist, I think, like things like this you can find, but this one just got aired to like a whole IMAX audience, and it's like everyone's like, "What the fuck? This new movie?"
I don't know with the stand-in ADR that they left in the echo. They put reverb on voices. That just makes it even worse.
Oh,
is it? Chesh, have you seen this movie by chance?
Which one?
The Mummy.
Mummy.
Yeah, sorry.
Is it just me? I thought the scene... Oh, maybe it was at the end. She had 3 eyes and not 2. Because I just looked at the movie... Okay. I looked at the movie poster and I watched the trailer and it only showed 2, and I was like, wait a minute. I thought she had 3 eyes in the ending scene.
Yeah, she did.
Okay. I'm just making sure I wasn't crazy.
Went wrong with IMAX's Mummy trailer. It's glorious. Agree.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so funny. I forgot about that until you mentioned like just weird cuts of movies and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah, my big thing with this was like trying to bank on a really bad idea for a movie, right? So that you can eventually set up your entire shitty world of movie monsters as heroes, which is what they were basically.
Hold on, is that what they're doing?
They were trying.
Did they want to make movies about all the sub characters or some shit? Like
So they were going to tie together like Dracula and the Mummy and all of those as a Universal Monsters. Hence why you superhero team.
And the title was The Mummy full stop, which was really confusing. Yeah.
Because they were all going to come together to save the world. And it's like...
Drew said it's a response to the MCU.
These are all like bad guys. What are you doing? Like, what you should have done was you take a remake of Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, right? And you take the lead character from that, let's say The Rock, right? Mm-hmm.
Well, he wasn't exactly the lead character. But...
Well, he was by number 3. It's like CG Scorpion Man.
The point is that if you take the hero from the movie, who is clearly intended to be the hero of the movie, which makes him the main character of the movie, let's be honest, because they are the hero. If you take those separate heroes that have been fighting these like dark forces and you put them together, then all of a sudden you actually have shock horror, a superhero group.
Ooh.
They're not the first people to do it either.
It's not fucking rocket science. It's easy scripting. Very easy scripting.
All they had to do is not fuck it up, though.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Like putting together a bunch of like bad guys though to try and like have your like franchise bullshit. Oh god,
it's not lovable. Just not lovable. Anyway.
Oh, just so you guys know, I put Kung Fu Rascals on the server now after my little rant. So if you feel like watching one of the worst movies you've ever seen in your life, but want a good laugh of how stupid it is, definitely one of those movies.
As I say, I'm ready for the next. I'm ready for the next Breen actually. So,
actually, well, the movie that I have picked for you guys, I will give you one dropped hint. It is a horror comedy.
Young Frankenstein?
No, God no.
I don't know. I'm awful at these.
That's fine. You don't have to guess it. I'm just telling you that is the genre I have picked because Wolf of Snow Hollow was technically a horror comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Drew's
it's not Dead
Cabin
Snow.
in the Woods,
It's not
Snow.
Cabin in the Woods. It's something that is not well known or not common, but when I saw it, I absolutely loved it. And then over the course of the 3 months thereafter, it got a blistering 100% rating for almost everything a couple months after it came out.
Yeah.
You mean until the incels got to it, or
no? I think it still has a user score of 100%, but I think it has a critic score of 80 now.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's absolutely funny the first time you watch it. The replayability on it, not great, but the first time you watch it, it's actually really good. But you'll find out when we get there. But Chesh has to pick his movie first.
Chesh, we talked about Dead Don't Die on the podcast, didn't we? I always thought it was here, but
yes, we did. Yeah.
Which I watched as well, which we talked about, and that was funny. That was quite funny. Yes. Anyway, sorry, just jammed in there. What were we moving on to?
Well, we're at an hour and 20 minutes here. So the question is, do we want to do the box that jacks, or do we want to call it quits?
How do you feel, Chet?
I think personally, I'm going to call it quits.
Okay.
Yeah, no stress. I might go and we'll take a night off from doing the box that jacks, and I'll go cook some pizzas and refresh for next week.
Can you send me one?
I'll fax it to you.
Oh, please.
You get a picture. Oh,
please.
yeah.
Also, I've if anyone's interested in the TV shows I'm actively watching for this, I call them seasons, but they're arranged in quarters.
I'll talk about this too. Yes.
In anime, because I'll just start with that because that's my main thing is animes. I'm watching My Next Life as a Villainous protagonist. All flags equal doom. Dungeon Black Company, Dragon Quest, Mini Dragon, aka Kobayashi.
Is that Dragon Quest like the game franchise?
No. Yeah. It's based off the game franchise.
Gotcha.
Sirei Gunkosuki Spirit Chronicles, Boruto, How a Realist Hero Rebuilt a Kingdom, Honor Magic Academy, Aruma-kun, Tokyo Revengers, and My Hero Academia. So that's the animes. Oh, sorry. And I'm Standing on a Million Lives. And the time I got reincarnated as a slime. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's all for this quarter anime-wise.
Not How to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
No, they're gonna do a whole nother side story for that. For TV shows like live action, my backlog that I am watching this quarter is In Living Color, Letterkenny, the Mythic Quest TV show, which is actually really funny.
I started watching that. I found that on the server.
It's actually pretty good. And Chesh, I highly recommend it because it's about game studios.
It's pretty lighthearted, I know, and it's not kind of delving into the dark side of like we're talking about crunch, that kind of stuff. It's like it's all still a little bit like it's all fun and games, but I had a couple of chuckles.
Primal, I highly recommend Primal. Primal it's kind of like on the same lines as Samurai Jack, and there is almost no spoken word throughout the whole entire show. Nothing. And it's about a Neanderthal and this dinosaur that team up together after they both have tragic things happen to them.
The Cartoon Network one? Yes.
I don't know if it was Cartoon Network.
Adult Swim?
Yeah, I think it was maybe Adult Swim. Anyway, it's called Primal. That looks awesome. Highly recommend it. And then for recent stuff, I'm watching The Bad Batch, the Star Wars.
Shit!
It's actually really good. It's on the server. It's updated weekly, so it's still airing. And then the Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. I'm finishing last episode on that. So that is what I am watching TV show wise for this quarter. And
if you've not seen Marvel's What If, you need to watch.
Yes, and Marvel's What If. That came out yesterday. It is on the server, Sam. You should go watch it.
And the first one is Captain Carter, and I can tell you right now, this is the live action that I desperately want. It was, by the end of it, and I'm not going to spoil it, but by the end of it, the flying scene, Brandon, the flying scene.
Yeah.
You know, that reminds you of like Big Hero 6.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're talking about.
I was like, I want this. This is what I want. This is all that I've ever wanted. This is amazing. Please give me this female superhero.
I like the throwback to what Stark Sr. did with the Tesseract too. That also was warm feeling. Oh, sorry, I missed a couple of the shows. I'm watching season 3 of Titans. Star Trek Lower Decks. Episode 1 just came out for the new season. I am watching that as well. And Rick and Morty. All right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll just stop there because I also downloaded all 5 seasons of the Justice League and I'm rewatching all that. So I'm watching a lot of TV shows right now, and I plan to have them done by the end of September.
That just reminded me too. Maybe it might be a good opportunity at some stage. We do like an anime movie to talk about too.
Oh, I have the perfect anime movie for you guys to watch because it is like eating a bag of shrooms without eating the bag of shrooms.
Trying to think
and the artistic direction for it is off the wall and pleasantly eye-opening.
It's not. Shit. What's the movie called?
Is it Todoro?
No.
I remember. That's got a long name. I'll remember it anyway.
The movie I'm referring to is called Cat Soup.
Oh. I don't know what to think of. Cat Soup.
It's on the server, so you can look it up whenever you want.
I saw this pop up. I think I watched the trailer of it. Yeah. I'm keen to watch that for sure. I was gonna say I always love talking about there's certain ones that may make up some of my favorite movies of all time, but they're obvious choices like your Miyazaki ones, but definitely looking for some of the less traveled ones, which would be really nice. But yeah,
G3, I highly recommend that you watch this. I think this is really up your alley for the kind of artistic style that you like, as well as the in-depth character building. And there's no spoken words throughout this, like whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I G3, this probably goes direct to you. I don't know how much anime you watch, but you don't need to watch a lot of anime to watch this. This is actually, I can't think of another movie that I would recommend to you that would be up your alley. Anime wise, I highly recommend it. It's on the server. If anyone wants a copy of this, let me know. I will find a way to get it to you if you cannot find it anywhere. It is phenomenally done for what it is, and it's also a short, so it's not like a 1,000-year movie to watch. I just off kilter, just watch it. Either of you, I highly recommend it.
There's that reminds me to there's a French animation it reminds me of. I love the ones that don't have any dialogue, but they depict so much. There's the one, not Triplets of Belleville. There's another one. I don't think it's the same director. It's like The Magician or something, or The Illusionist, I think it's called. I need to find it because it's such a great one, and it feels like you're watching a point-and-click adventure game in the best way possible. So, you've just sparked me to remember that one. So, I'll quickly say what I've been watching this week. We've been watching season 3 of Fargo, and holy fuck balls, like it's fantastic.
That's
I keep
next quarter.
harping on
I'll
it.
watch it next quarter.
I'm excited. That's something I'd love to unpack. We could do a podcast on it, but not that I have any intelligent takes from it, apart from I just really enjoy it. And but the season 3, I think, took it's an interesting one. They're the type of seasons you end up caring so much about each of the characters and the dynamic, and they paint it so well. You go to the next one, and it's like, I'm not attached to these people yet, and it's going to take some time. And I remember Kate was like, I'm just not ready for it, and put down season 3 until we picked it back up last night and just watched half of it, and it really unpacked almost as good, like I think as good as the other two kind of thing. So this one's got Ewan McGregor doing 2 characters like brothers, and he does such a fucking good job. It's amazing. But yeah, the Fargo is incredible as a show. I love it. And the other one, I did this whole chat on Command & Crunch today. Is it the latest season of RuPaul's Drag Race?
I love RuPaul's Drag Race.
This All Stars one is fucking exceptional. I made the example today that I now know a lot of the I was going to say deep lore of RuPaul's Drag Race, but I know a lot of the legacy of like the all the queens and stuff over the years. And this is like the best culmination of All Stars I've ever seen. And some of them, it's been 11 years since they're on the show, and to tell their stories and their transformations. But they're almost at the finals, and it's the creativity and the prowess at this level is the highest it's ever been. It's kind of interesting. Like the Australian series was okay, but I was like, at the same time, I'm just not seeing the quality that.
Are you talking about the Down Under series, the RuPaul Down Under?
Yeah. It was okay, but it was all like, it was nice to have one here. But it was like what's going on in the States right now, like the level and skill and creativity and art, like artistic merit and everything that's going on right now, is incredible kind of thing. And always like what that show means, and like that's the wildest thing I like to keep touching on with that show that. 12 months ago, I wouldn't be like, I just wouldn't have thought it was the show for me. Not that I wouldn't like it. It's just like, I didn't know what I would get out of it. It's just,
So it's funny that you talk about that, because when I lived in Hawaii, I made some friends that were, for lack of a better word, they were gay. But they took part in a lot of the drag culture that existed out there as well. And I think it was right when the series first started. I think it was like season 1, like episode 6 when I watched the first episode. And I watched it with them because they're so excited to put it on. And I lost my shit. It was so fucking funny. The banter that they have, and I know some of it's fake. Like, I get it. But
of course.
But you know what? That was genuinely a good laugh. There's no other way to put it. It's just genuinely a good laugh. They were having a good time. I was having a good time.
Yeah. And I think the comedy in it now as well. Like some of them are some incredible improv comedians. Basically, they could make a career out of that. And some of the latest kind of challenges they've done with that, you're just like, this is some of the best comedy I've ever seen. Like, they're incredible for sure.
Yeah.
There's one that was in drag, Dolly Parton, and did the best. Like, it's that fine line. Like, they do a lot of there's that one, what do you call it, like roasting someone basically, and it makes you really think what is effective about that kind of environment of comedy. It's not necessarily absolutely decimating someone, because that just actually becomes uncomfortable.
It's hurtful.
It's like, it's a balance of like weird. It's like respectfully kind of bagging someone about something, and it's like you get to thinking about what that makes that happen, and why that works, and why some people are really effective at that, and it's great, and people can feel it's why I like hanging out with Chesh. Yeah, you can dress each other down, but you love each other at the end of the day. It's great, like.
There's a comment in the chat for you there, Chesh.
I can't. I don't have the chat up.
Oh, anyway. But yeah, watch. I mean, if you haven't watched any RuPaul's Drag Race, go watch some of the mid seasons. Even amazing. Just get started. It's so much more what you think. And some of the it's a show I've cried multiple times because of what it means for people's transformation as well, and what they say, like Ru's changed
what
your
it
life,
represents and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they've literally found their family, like that kind of stuff, and being through some serious challenges, and it's incredible. But love the bits.
What was the comment in chat? Because I didn't have the chat up.
I would like to
go for it. No. I want to hear your Australian accent, though.
All right, mate. Drew was saying I'd like to recommend The Nevers to you all. Sadly, Joss Whedon is connected to the show. Yeah, of course. And it turns out he's a piece of shit. Yep, turns out that's right. But he removed himself from the show.
I want more Australian accent. Please, continue from piece of shit.
Piece of shit. But he removed himself from the show, and I think the show is really cool. I think you should watch it. Can. Yeah. I haven't seen or heard anything about this.
I'm not familiar.
Someone's telling me, that reminds me, the name of it reminds me that someone told me I've got to watch The Expanse, which is on my list very shortly too.
Joel is just about to finish The Expanse. He's been plowing through The Expanse.
Just hammering. The Nevers. Oh, this looks like...
Sorry, Joel, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I reckon Kate would dig this too, so I might chuck this on and try out a couple of episodes for sure. The Nevers, awesome.
Oh, you finished it today!
Nice,
holy shit! Okay, I know for sure that Joel's been plowing through The Expanse, but what do you think of it? Because I think season 1 and 2, well, 2 not so great. I think 1 and 3, seasons 1 and 3 are my favorite of The Expanse.
It's like the epitome of the modern slow burn. Like, it's if someone doesn't want to focus on it, it's like, well, they're not going to get much out of it. But it's like you kind of like, I remember watching like the first, I think almost the whole first season, and this was years ago, and so I'm kind of keen to continue it on for sure. I love that. Yeah, isn't that more special though, Joel? That in a way, if like, you know, if you don't watch as much or whatever, you're not saturated by things like, all right, this is a TV show. I'm just gonna watch this one, and it makes it quite special. Yeah, that's awesome.
Why was this comment about the Nevers for me?
Oh, because of Joss Whedon.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. I know it was for all of us, but yeah, we just want you to say something about Joss Whedon, maybe. Like, I don't know, but it's all been said.
Joss Whedon's a piece of shit.
There you go. Exactly.
All right, he finally gets it now. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. Exactly.
I've had too many people tell me it was good. Yeah, it's absolutely a. If you're a sci-fi fan, it is a must-watch. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, like, a lot of people say this, but they roll their eyes, and I'm like, you got to watch BSG. I won't compare it to any other show because it's uncomparable. But watch BSG, please.
I think I actually have. Well, I should say I think Hayden has it on DVD here somewhere.
It's actually a really well done show. If you compare it to other shows,
just don't play the shitty board game.
Oh God, I didn't even know they had a board game. Okay.
Yeah, the Battlestar Galactica board game is fucking terrible.
No, I don't care about that shit. And
You're
the
saying,
oh no.
Babylon 5 is good, but it has its own quirks. And I watched all of the Star Treks, every Star Trek show. It's on the server. I've seen it all twice over. DS9 is probably still my favorite, and then probably Voyager, and then at the top of that is Next Gen. Nothing beats Next Gen.
I was gonna say, if you want your sci-fi board game fix, just ramp it up to 99 and play Twilight Imperium and kiss a whole weekend goodbye. Like that's a good time.
Yeah.
It's good fun. It's as obtuse as a fucking Paradox game. It's as obtuse as a Paradox game though. It's like, oh yeah, here's a wall of words, and then they'll mean something one day.
No, just wait until I perfected escaping the Death Star and put it up on Board Game Geek like I did with Dragon's Treasure.
I want to see what your mind's been kind of ticking around and
I've been kicking around with like, so there's a whole Kevin Smith thing where it's like contractors on the Death Star, because you blow up the Death Star and you've like basically like it's half completed, like you basically murdered a whole bunch of civilian contractors who essentially work for space Nazis, but you know they've got to make a fucking living somehow.
It's like some of the comedies delve into. It's like they have wives, like they have partners and kids and stuff like that. Yeah, and it's like and they have work pressures. What does that feel like? Shit.
There is, technically speaking, an Escape the Death Star style board game already that came out like 20 years, 30 years ago.
So it's falling down. You need to get out.
So essentially, it's you trying to escape, trying to trick stormtroopers, trying to like hotwire or rewire like keypads to open up certain security doors, but you have to be careful because you have to work as a co-op team, but you can't.
Sounds like Space Team, kind of.
You can't see where all the teams are, So you've got like 4 players who are all trying to work their way to the escape pod, but they need to get around all these obstacles to do it. So it's
a cool co-op shit. I love it.
Yeah, it's a cool co-op game that I've been working on for the last like 5 years, basically.
Love it.
And I'm like, I think I'm getting close to.
That sounds so much
I'm
fun.
excited. Yeah, because it's like there's DNA little bits there. I can feel like Space Team was a funny one I played. But what's the don't stop talking and the bomb explodes or some shit or whatever. Yeah. Like, but those kind of games are so amazing because it's the Jackbox thing too. It's the people that make it, and yeah, that sounds so good. I love it.
But I mean, and it also comes back to that whole like, previously before Disney had the rights to Lucasfilm, it probably would have been easier for me to get in on the ground floor at a particular company that I know and get them to like kind of go for the rights. But now that Disney's in control, like they've pretty much told me in no uncertain terms, like we've tried dealing with Disney on multiple angles with board games and Disney aren't coming to the table. So,
not to mention the way it depicts those, like stormtroopers still always have to be stormtroopers from the Star Wars canon. When you think about it, it's like to those people, the rebels are the like terrorists basically. Like, they're
rebels
awful.
are terrorists.
It's just born up with their workplace. It's like what the hell's going on? It's like it's like sometimes you wonder. It's like is it their fault that they ended up in a shitty crunch culture? That's I don't know. Like that's just my job. And there you go. We went full circle on our in our references.
Exactly.
Crunch culture is the Death Star. Like, working for Moff Tarkin. Like, that's got to suck. Or like, we shall double our efforts. It's like
we shall double our efforts.
Where's double?
Speaking of Brandon, have you had a chance to tinker around with Dragon's Treasure yet?
I have not, dude, to be honest. We talked about this and I looked it up. I have not had the chance. Bro, I listed off how many games and TV shows that I'm playing and watching. Like, please, give me a break, sir.
Exactly.
And I still watch the movies. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I put on 9 more Nicolas Cage movies this past week.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've got a few to watch.
And I just rewatched The Rock 2 nights ago. So,
Rock,
and if anyone is wanting to play
Alcatraz movie,
Dragon's Treasure, just hit up the Lexicon
Crunch channel.
Discord, thank you, the Crunch channel. And at me and tag me, and I will give you a link to the print and play. Because all you'll need is like a bag, like that you can't see through, and some poker chips and a printer.
And a printer. That's the hard
That's
part.
all you need.
Honestly, I haven't owned a printer in like 8 years.
Yeah.
So,
mine's in my cupboard. It's all dusty.
A device large enough to read the fucking rules.
How about a 3D printer? Can I just 3D print all the block letters?
I mean,
the most ineffective process.
You could, I guess.
Yeah. So check that one out in the Discord. The channel is the one with the eagle and the koala on it.
You see what I did there? I pimped the Discord for you.
Exactly, and I'm continuing to do so.
I'll give you a sloppy kiss, chuckle, suck in a little bit, but
exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say we've been directing traffic over to the Lexicon as much as possible lately.
Thank you.
I mean, thanks to on Twitter, I said, "Hey, CCO Brando, get over to Lexicon and go."
You know what's funny is you are not the only person to tell Brando to come to our channel over the past week and a half.
When Ryan was on the podcast, I'm like, "Yeah, you need to get over there."
So Ryan's got terrible internet
for you.
Yeah, well, okay. So I've talked to Ryan many times about getting him on the show, and he's just like, "Oh, I can't do it. My internet's like bad." And I told him, I said, I will work around it. Like, let's test this out. You can do it on a fucking cell phone, and we'll make it work. So I'm trying to get Ryan, but Brando came through, and it was absolute blast. Had a great time with him.
Oh, he was stoked,
and he played on stream. And what I want to do is I want to do a night where it's content creators battling it out on our channel where we aren't even present. Like, I want to do a two-headed giant kind of competition tier list thing and just make the prize pool go to a charity and you're doing it for the charity prize pool. But I want to really do a two-headed giant kind of thing on our channel. It takes a lot of coordination, and I just have not had time to do that. And our stream's currently like falling apart because everything is like super dated, and like the tech we're using is like years old, and I built that like 5 years ago, and I'm just blown away that everything's still working now. So I got to redo a lot of that stuff, but I'm hoping soon that gets resolved. I'm going to try and aim for this weekend to do one part of it, but the plan is to coordinate a bunch of content creators to get together to do a fun giant two-headed giant thing. That's the plan.
It's like NBA Jam duos. You know, you could really do your that way too. It's like, imagine that, Chesh. Like, fuck.
Yeah, so Matt cool. and Johnny played Modern tonight. I was there for the first game to make sure everything worked out okay. And that was kind of fun to watch. Definitely like seeing a little bit of variety there, Magic-wise. So I'm totally for it. And then soon, I can't tell you what's happening because Matt's keeping it under wraps, but soon we'll be doing something on one of our new channels, which we're going to soon release, which is LexaCon Games or LexaCon Gaming. And we're going to hopefully do something maybe on a Friday. I can't tell you what or anything past that, but the secret's in. Is it Smash? No, it's not Smash, but we will start smashing on that channel, just so we're not doing it on my personal channel anymore.
Is it Beyblades?
Oh, that would be sick, dude. Okay, so I was telling
them... You guys are like the authorities on it. I'm like...
No, God, no. They were talking about... I was talking about how these Beyblades are stupid, and they're like, oh, well, why don't you make a Beyblade? And I'm like, I will make a Beyblade. And I said, I'm not even going to use a standard Ripper. I'm going to use a fucking angle grinder to start that shit.
Yes. And it just turns into Robot Wars, right?
It'll be destructive. Whatever hits that thing will either rip someone's finger off or at least try.
This becomes an arms race where people are basically making death machines by the end of it, and it is like there. Is it Robot Wars, the TV show? Chesh will know. Where they made the remote control robots, and it was awesome. And that's right. The guy from MythBusters was famously like
Adam Savage.
The other one, I'm pretty sure.
Jamie Heineman? No.
I think Jamie. I'm pretty sure Jamie was like legendarily like banned from it and stuff like that, like the Robot Wars.
Oh,
thing.
Grant. Like, that makes sense. Grant makes sense.
Is it Grant?
Yeah, I think it was Grant Imaha.
Yeah.
Oh, who?
R.I.P.
Grant the one that passed away? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah. Look up the deep lore of like Robot Wars. It's fascinating. Like there's people that like they took it too far and got banned. Like it's incredible.
They bent the rules like child stars.
Yeah, when someone realized
like changing the rules, they were just like, "Nah, you banned." Like, fuck off.
Wasn't it like the disc or whatever? The Psycho disc or something. Anyway, it's funny shit. It's great, but there's like when someone figures out a design which is like, well, no one can beat that. It's great. Anyway, should watch some Robot Wars now. Anyway, good stuff. It's a metaphor for magic. Drew, everything's a metaphor for magic. Really is. Our friendship, whatever.
I'm gonna go pound Chesh. That's a metaphor for magic.
It is, exactly. Chesh is gonna sink my battleship. That's a metaphor for magic. So Joel did that. Joel made a comment, and I still don't know. I don't understand what you mean, Joel. You've put my mind in a loop. I didn't know what LexaCon is until Sam told me last week. Then I decided to start watching 4 years ago. My head. You just put me into a Matthew McConaughey time.
Did this just become Tenet? Because that comment is about as good as the movie.
Well, that would mean that Enthrallman's moving backwards, and the rest of us are moving forwards. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, that's bizarre. Anyway, I don't have enough.
Yeah, is the movie called Tenet or is it called Tenet?
I think it's called Tenet.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Tenet would just be the story of a person in a rental property, right?
No, Sam.
No, you don't get it.
I know.
The joke is, Sam, that the name is actually T.
It's a
N-E-T. Tenet.
So it's both ways, backwards and forwards.
It's not an anagram. Is it an anagram?
It's a bananagram.
Bananagram. Yeah. It's called.
It's a Toyota, Sam. It's a Toyota.
A Toyota, yes, exactly. I'm trying to think of the other ones of those. No, I can't think of it. Anyway.
Boop.
Nice. Boop.
All right, it's getting late. These people are clearly suffering brain damage, so we're gonna say goodbye. hopefully Chesh will post the movie that will be his pick in the LexaCrunch Discord, where we will all see it. Please feel free to tag us.
Public. Yeah, and then watch along from home too.
Yeah,
and join the conversation.
That's another reason why I want for a movie that's been out for a while, because it means it's more readily accessible for everyone else to join us and watch.
Very true, very true. Because we just got Titanic in the cinemas. We're kind of getting there in Australian film industry, but it's taking our time. So
I feel like you have 30 more years of movies to catch up on then.
Just a few. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Anywho,
left to right, we're gonna exit ourselves.
Stage left.
Oh, shit, I went the wrong way.
Whoa.
Sam and I had both the same idea. What a surprise.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, I didn't go my left because I never know which one's which. Anyway, yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Australian, and yet it's still funnier than the castle. I have been Cheshire from Cheshire Plays Games. You can find me at youtube.com/Cheshire Plays Games, or at if you look on YouTube, find Card Punter if you're into NBA cards or chess breaks. I'm also one half of the Commander Crunch podcast, which Sam will talk about. Onto you, Brando.
What's up, everybody? My name is Brandon, aka the producer, host at MTG Lexicon. I'm here. I just make sure that they show up. I pay them the $3 that they are owed over the course of 3 years, and yeah, that's how I keep getting them to show up.
I was gonna say, as we found out, you're the Dorothy to the Motley Crew of Oz that needs to be there to hold it all together.
What game was that? What game was that again?
That was I quite enjoyed that one, the roles one, and it was like finding out who's what of different things and whatever. Yeah, it only is the type one only made sense at the end. I'm like, oh, I get it now. And so it was interesting. There's like a Sex and the City one and like all that stuff. So I'm keen to run back through there and see who thinks who is what. Like it's going to be very funny. Nice. I am of course Sam, the other half of Commander Crunch. Check us out if you want to listen to us talk Australianisms and talk to people around the world about Commander and life and all that stuff and all the cool things and just generally try and have a good time. Yeah, you can find out where you get your podcast from. But other than that, it's been another ripping week. And I had another thing to mention that was very funny. Oh yeah, that's what it was. So we're talking VBs. Remember, guys, VB stands for Visitors Beer. Keep them on.
No.
You keep them in the cupboard for when visitors come around.
Don't do that to people. Like that's just dog piss.
How much do you hate your visitors? No, I stone throw them out. That's fine. Or I just don't get any because I don't work in any kind of work arrangement kind of deals where you get paid in shitty beer because that's.
I would rather drink Chess's fermented piss than VB again.
It's like,
g'day, mates. Would you like to see my line of beers? It's called FP. It is
the same thing.
Piss, brought to you by Chesh.
Yeah. It's the meme. It's like corporate told us to tell us the differences, but I don't see any exactly.
I was happier drinking Coors in Australia than I was VB.
Oh yeah, that's an exotic import, my friend. Love it. Nah, Sierra Nevada. That's like super exotic import. That's like, ooh, that's
if you can get it, this Racer 5 IPA is banging.
Just doing that one.
It's from Bear Republic.
Nice.
One of their distributors is Sierra Nevada.
Yeah. We get some Bear Republic stuff sometime. Up to around the ways. Yeah.
All right. Well, fuck off, everybody. You don't have to go home, but you don't have to go home.
Here.
No. You just don't have to go home. Yeah. All right. Take it easy, everyone. You have a great night.
Bye. Yeah, love y'all.